TV, back at y'all with another one. So, Robert Garcia is stating that 147 for Mikey Garcia is not a good idea to campaign at 147. He said, although there is winnable fights up there at 147, he doesn't advise Mikey Garcia to stay at 147. He said that he was very confident that he could beat Errol Spence Jr. He says, but he gave everything he had. It just wasn't enough. He said that Errol Spence Jr. is the best at 147. So if Mikey Garcia was to face other 147 pounders, he could be successful. He could have success and be successful and get some victories. He says he has a lot of options, but if he had a choice, he would advise Mikey Garcia to campaign at 140. He said due to the fact that he saw his best at Errol Spence, and Errol Spence was the best, so he stated that 140 pounds is more likely. He said trying to get back to 135 pounds is going to be very tough after Mikey Garcia gained so much muscle mass to campaign at 147 to face Errol Spence Jr. He said that, for him to try to get down to 135, he just don't see it. He said it's possible, but it's going to be very difficult for him to do. He knows the world is clamoring for Mikey Garcia versus Vasyl Lomachenko, but that has to be at 135, seeing as though they feel like Vasyl Lomachenko cannot make 140. He's just too small. He's actually a small 135 pounder, if you want to be technical. So he's stating that, it'll be very difficult for Mikey to get back to 135. Mikey Garcia came in at 146, so to get back to 135 is 11 pounds of muscle that he's going to have to deplete, and like I stated before, we know that Mikey Garcia campaigned 3 out of his last 5 fights was at 140 pounds. So now 4 out of his last 6 fights have been at 140 or above. So for him to try to get back down to 135, I think that it would be just too difficult. And on top of it, to face a guy like Vasyl Lomachenko, trying to get back down there, it just poses a big threat. It's just a big problem for Mikey Garcia, I believe. His body structure didn't really change for the Errol Spence fight. It was pretty much similar. But they did a lot of strength training that they didn't normally do to build muscle. And we saw the likes of Roy Jones jumping up to heavyweight and trying to come back down to light heavyweight at 175 after gaining, but he went up to about 200 pounds to face Ruiz at heavyweight. But he tried to come back down to 175 and face Antonio Tarver, and we saw what that had, the results of that. And from there on, Glenn Johnson, and that was the end of his career. After he came back down, he got the first victory, which people argue that he lost the first fight. He got the first victory against Antonio Tarver coming down. And after that, it was all she wrote, So I don't know if it's a good idea for Mikey Garcia to try to come back down to 35. I think it's possible. I think it's doable. But I think that it's going to be very difficult. And for a fight of the magnitude of Vasyl Lomachenko, I think it's just too much for Mikey Garcia to try to deplete all that muscle. As I've been saying for quite some time, he's not a 135 pounder. He was a 140 pounder who was dropping down to 35 because now 4 out of his last 6 fights have been at 140 or above. So that's why he can't make the 135 limit, right? He did it, back-to-back fights against Lipinus and Adrian Broner were at 140, and then he dropped down to 35 to face Robbie Easter. So it's very difficult, So I definitely could see him fight with Regis Prograis and Mikey Garcia, fight with Mikey Garcia and Maurice Hooker. You understand? So Josh Taylor and Mikey Garcia. So there's plenty of fights for him at 140, and I think that's the best weight for him to fight at. But that's all I got for y'all, man. It's your boy Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notification. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shouts out to the entire LDBC. Shouts out to New Media. Shouts out to Black Media, bro. Make sure you like and share these videos. So Mikey Garcia, Robert Garcia says he will advise Mikey Garcia not to stay at welterweight, but go to junior welterweight, if anything. And it'll be very difficult for him to make 135 pounds to make the super fight between himself and Vasyl Lomachenko. But that's all I got. Drop a comment. Let me know what y'all think. Peace.